Hi everyone, I'm Catherine, the People and Wildlife Officer at the Scottish Wildlife Trust, and today we're going to take a closer look at hedgehogs.
So I thought it would be good to start off with the ID features of our hedgehog. The native wild hedgehog in Scotland is the western hedgehog, and as you can see from this picture, the ID features really are an all brown face, brown ears, and brown spines. So it's quite easy to remember you're looking for an all brown hedgehog. If we contrast that to this species, which is the African pygmy hedgehog, the one that is being increasingly kept as a pet and increasingly seen in media images, this hedgehog has a much lighter skin colour. The ears are brown, but they're lighter and they poke out from the side of the head. And the spines are a much lighter brown and they're not uniform in colour either. So there's quite a difference there between these two species. And the problem is because the African pygmy hedgehog, as I say, is getting used more and more commercially because it's quite cute in appearance, and people are seeing the wild hedgehogs less because they're in decline, people are genuinely starting to confuse the two and thinking, when they think of the word hedgehog, of the African pygmy hedgehog. One of the most iconic things about the hedgehog is its spines and ability to curl into a ball, so I wanted to take a closer look at that. The hedgehog has a layer of muscle underneath its skin which allows the spiny layer to move independently. Each one of the spines is connected to this muscle layer via connecting muscles, which enables the hedgehog to stand each spine on end independently. This together means that the hedgehog has some degree of flexibility in the direction in which it points its spines. The hedgehog also has a circular muscle along its back called the orbicularis, and it's when this contracts that it causes the soft parts of the hedgehog to be safely tucked away.
I can explain that in a more simplified way using my hand. If you imagine that this is the hedgehog, and this part of my hand here is the orbicularis muscle, what happens when it contracts, because it's circular, it effectively pulls in all parts of the hedgehog at the same time. So it'll pull in this part of the hedgehog, the head, and this part, the back of the hedgehog, and it pulls them in towards each other, thereby protecting all the more vulnerable, softer parts within. And the back of the hedgehog arches to enable this to happen, and the usually baggy skin can accommodate the extra volume. So what you end up with is this effective ball shape, and it's effective of course because this part of the skin is covered with all the spines, and there's around 5,000 of those on an adult hedgehog. Now I can't hold my hand like this for too long because it'll start to hurt, the muscles can't stay in this contracted state, they need to relax. But a hedgehog's orbicularis muscle can stay contracted for much longer, so it allows the hedgehog to stay in that ball shape and wait out the threat. So what all this means is it's that combination of the skin, the spines and the muscle that enable the hedgehog to stay curled up into a ball, to allow it to have that effective defence mechanism that's meant that even though it's a small mammal, the only real predatory threat for an adult, healthy hedgehog in Scotland is from the badger.
Young hedgehogs are called hoglets and they tend to be born between May and October. When they're born, they do have their spines, but they're embedded in the skin, and it takes a few days for them to emerge. When they do, it's a soft layer of white spines, and as the hedgehogs get older, new layers of darker, thicker spines emerge. And once they get older and become older juveniles, those early spines will drop out. The young hedgehogs then have a lot of growing to do because they need to be ready for hibernation in the winter. So they've got to put on weight. They need to be around 500 to 700 grams if they're going to get through their hibernation successfully. This can sometimes be a problem for the young that were born later on in the year, September, October time, because they've got less time to put on the weight. So it's often those individuals that you'll see in hedgehog hospitals later on in the year. In terms of diet, hedgehogs are omnivores, so they eat a range of things. The vast majority of this is usually invertebrates, so things like worms, slugs, and beetles. They do also eat other things like frogs and birds' eggs, and even fruit has been found in their diet, although it's not usually a large component of it. Now, they may be one of our best loved mammals, but hedgehogs are facing a severe decline, with the latest State of Britain's Hedgehogs report showing that a third of those have been lost from towns and cities and half of those from rural areas in just the past decade. There are a number of reasons for this decline, and scientists are still trying to work out which ones are the key reasons for this and what can be done to help.
One of the main threats to hedgehogs is habitat loss and fragmentation. In the countryside, changes to farming practices and removal of hedgerows has led to a decline in the amount of habitat available, and in our towns and cities, more and more of us are paving over gardens or making them more private using fences and walls. And all of this affects the hedgehog's ability to find suitable places to nest, to forage, to hibernate, and to find a mate. So we might think of them as being quite sedentary animals curled up into a ball, but they're not. They can roam on average 2 kilometres a night, so they really need that space. This next clip will show you the variety of habitats where you might end up seeing a hedgehog, and also how fast that they can move when they want to.
So we have an interesting wildlife find, don't we, Riley? Riley's just found something. As you can see, we're down at the beach at Hopeman, sunset. We're in the sand dunes, just in front of the caravan park. Absolute stunner of a night. Got Venus up there. We've got Riley here. And you got this little chap that Riley's just found. One for Catherine. He's pretty big. Aren't you, Mr. Hedgepig? Gorgeous. Not what I was expecting to see on the beach. Oh, hello. Riley, leave it. Good boy. There he goes.
Some other threats to hedgehogs include the use of pesticides, which kills their main invertebrate prey, also entanglement in litter and also just garden objects like football nets, getting stuck in things like ponds. Also, a big problem for hedgehogs is being killed on the road, traffic mortality, and obviously that instinct to curl into a ball does not help when you're facing traffic rather than a predator. So all of these things are going against the hedgehogs in terms of trying to survive in our modern world. Now, the good news is there are things that all of us can do to help hedgehogs. One of the best things that you can do is make a little hole in your garden fence so that hedgehogs can get between yours and your neighbours' gardens. And there's instructions on how to do that on the internet. It's often referred to as a hedgehog highway, and it really is a good thing to do for your hedgehogs. Another thing you can do is build a hedgehog home. Again, there's plenty of instructions for this online, and you can even buy these in the shops. And this will provide the hedgehog with a safe place to hibernate through the winter. Finally, you can pick up litter. Picking up things like elastic bands especially will help hedgehogs, prevent them from getting entangled. Also, the rings that go around drinks cans, if you find those, pick those up and separate them before putting them in the bin. Those will help hedgehogs, but also other wildlife as well.
Okay, so that's the end of my talk today. I hope you enjoyed it and found out some new things. If you would like to find out how you can help hedgehogs, just head to the website. I'll put the link at the end of the video. And if you have any questions or comments at all, please do get in touch.